In this video, we will take a further look at bean concepts like bean scopes, bean factories, conditional beans, and bean replacement. So, bean scopes define the life cycle and visibility of a bean. There are following bean scopes in Micronaut at the rate singleton. Whenever we want only one instance of the bean should exist, then we will annotate the bean with at the rate singleton annotation. In this case, Micronaut will create only single instance of that bean and inject the same instance wherever required. These beans are created lazily and on demand, so they won't be created at the application startup. They will be initialized only after they are referenced by other beans. At direct context, it indicates that the bean should be created at the same time as that of the application context. So this bean that you have marked with at direct context annotation, it will be initialized eagerly. At direct prototype. If we annotate the bean with at direct prototype annotation, every time a new instance of that bean will be created wherever that bean is injected. At thread local. This scope associates the bean per thread using the thread local. At request scope. If we annotate a bean with at request scope annotation, a new instance of that bean is created and associated with each HTTP request. Apart from this, at infrastructure and at refreshable are other bean scopes. You can read more about these scopes from the link given below in the description. Bean factories. In many cases, you want to make available a class that is not part of your code base as a bean, like classes provided by the third-party libraries. In this case, you cannot annotate the already compiled class in that library, so you have to use @factory annotation. A factory can have multiple methods annotated with bean scope annotation, and each one returning a distinct bean type. So in this example, we are using a shadlock library. This library requires lock provider bean to be available. So in this case, we can annotate our class with @factory annotation and then make available this lock provider bean from the third party library shadlock, their shadlock library, using this singleton annotation with the help of @factory annotation. Conditional beans. Many times you may want a bean to load conditionally based on conditions like presence or absence of classes, beans, environments, SDK versions, property values, etc. Requires annotation provides the ability to define one or many conditions on the bean. You can provide conditions like load this bean whenever environment is dev, or load this bean when environment is not prod, etc. Bean replacement. Replaces annotation allows a bean to specify that it replaces another bean. This is mainly helpful in writing tests to mock the external dependencies. In this case, you can define a class in your test package that replaces this class just for your test. So for example, if you have a interest rate service that implements rate service, and it overrides the fetch interest rates method, in which you call a third party API to fetch the rates. When you are writing the test, you don't want this actual API call to happen. In this case, you can define mock interest rate service in your test package, which again implements the rate service and overrides the fetch interest rate method, which will simply return mock list of interest rates without making that API call. And you can use this, you will have to use this @replaces annotation to specify that this mock interest rate service replaces this our actual interest rate service.